My name is Alyssa Rowe. I am 26 years old, and on the day my daughter wore white, every chair with my family's name on it stayed empty. It was a small garden venue behind a brick chapel. White roses, soft music, a sky that remembered how to be gentle. I kept checking the entrance. Mom's perfume, Dad's hat, my sister's glitter. None of them came. I told myself they were late. The pianist repeated the prelude. The officiant glanced at the door. Nothing. When my daughter took my hand, her smile trembled. "It's okay, Mom," she whispered. I nodded, but I felt the sting. If you're watching this, drop a comment if you've ever counted on family and ended up counting empty chairs instead. Hit like and subscribe because I learned something that day and it changed everything that came next. After the ceremony, my daughter's husband's family hugged us like they had room for two more. I sighed. My phone stayed cold. I sent one message to the family group. "We missed you today." It showed delivered. No reply. I stared at the chairs again. Silk ribbons, perfect knots, a row of ghosts. Backstory bleeds in. Mom, a salon manager who swears loyalty is about appearances. Dad, a retired electrician who prides himself on not getting involved. My sister, Kaylee, planning her sweet 16 like a red carpet gala. And my Aunt Lydia, the only soft place in the family, a school librarian who brings secondhand books and first-rate kindness. That night, my daughter placed her bouquet on our kitchen counter like a flag. "Next time we invite who shows up," she said. I wanted to promise there would be a next time that wouldn't hurt. But promises felt thin. I took out the leftover place cards and slid them into a drawer. My phone buzzed at last, just one text. From Mom, "Busy day. Hope it went fine." No heart. No question. Just neat sentences. I breathed in, breathed out, and decided that silence would get an answer. The answer began 3 days later with a message that didn't ask, it expected. And that message is why I opened my banking app at midnight. 2 days after the wedding, my phone lit up with a text that sounded like a receipt. "Mom, need $1,850 for Kaylee's sweet 16 decor. Venue wants deposit today." I reread it twice. No. How was the ceremony? No, send photos. My daughter's vows were still echoing through our walls, and my mother was sending me an invoice. I typed, deleted, typed again. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, and I could hear Aunt Lydia's voice in my head. "Kindness is truth with a steady voice." I opened my bank app. Not because I wanted to feed the pattern, but because I wanted to end it. They didn't show up for my daughter's wedding. They didn't even apologize. They wanted balloons, a throne chair, and an ice sculpture that spelled out Kaylee like a headline. I transferred $5. In the memo line I wrote, "Congrats." Then I changed the locks. Not out of spite, out of clarity. My small apartment had been the family's storage unit for last-minute dresses, gift bags, mirrors. They kept spare keys in case of emergencies, which always seemed to mean getting ready for their parties on my utilities and my time. I called the locksmith, watched him swap the brass, and felt something in my chest click into place. Break time equals 2//. Backstory sharp and simple. Mom, Diana salon manager, lives for photos, edits out imperfections and people. Dad, Ron retired, checks in only when the TV is broken or the car battery dies. Kaylee, 16 social media scholar, fluent in aesthetic, allergic to gratitude. Aunt Lydia, librarian, collects overdue apologies the way others collect stamps, carefully, patiently. When the new keys dropped into my palm, they felt heavier than metal. I texted Aunt Lydia a photo. She responded with a single heart and, "Proud of you." That evening I placed my daughter's bouquet in a tall glass. One petal slipped, landed on the counter, and stuck like a small tear. I didn't know it yet, but a small deposit and a new lock were about to set off an old alarm. Because 3 days later there was a knock, and the knock wasn't polite. The knock came like the door owed it money. 3 heavy raps, a pause, then 3 more. My daughter looked up from the dining table where she was writing thank you cards for people who had actually shown up. I put a hand on her shoulder. "Stay here." Through the peephole I saw uniforms. 2 officers. Calm faces, professional stillness. I opened the door halfway. "Good afternoon." "Ma'am," the taller one said, "we received a call requesting a welfare check. Concern for a minor in the home." My stomach fell, then flared hot. "From whom?" He glanced at the clipboard. "Caller identified as your mother." I breathed. Please come in. My daughter, Ellie 18, legally an adult and newly married, stood up slowly. Everything okay? The officers introduced themselves. I offered IDs, marriage certificate copy on the fridge with a magnet. Organized pain is still organized. They asked basic questions, looked for signs of distress, glanced at the fridge calendar. Ellie's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. I put my arm around her. Break time equals 2/. This is the part where you're supposed to dissolve. Cry. Apologize for existing. But humiliation had already taught me its lesson at the chapel. I answered clearly, showed documents calmly, and asked if they needed anything else. They shook their heads. All appears in order, the taller one said. Then gentler, sometimes these calls aren't about concern. The shorter one added, sometimes they're about control. When they left, the hallway was suddenly too quiet. I closed the door and locked it. The new lock clicked with a satisfying finality. Ellie whispered, "She did this because you sent $5. I nodded. "She did this because I stopped giving more." I texted Mom, "Welfare check completed." "Oh well, here. Ellie is safe, married, and making thank you cards." I watched the typing bubbles rise, disappear, rise again. "Mom, if you hadn't changed the locks, I wouldn't have worried." "Me, if you had come to the wedding, I wouldn't have had to." Silence followed, measured and long. That night Aunt Lydia called. "You okay, honey?" she asked. "I'm steady," I said and meant it. Then my phone buzzed again, this time from Dad with a message that wasn't a question. Dad's text arrived at 10:08 p.m. "Your mother is frantic. You need to apologize. And send the deposit. Family pulls together." There it was, the sentence I'd heard my whole life, usually right after they'd tugged me apart. Family pulls together. It always meant, you pay, you fix, you swallow. I typed back, family shows up. Then I put my phone face down and stared at the ceiling fan as it sliced the room into moving pieces. The next morning I drove to work early. I manage front desk operations at a small dental clinic. Appointments, insurance codes, calm voices in edgy rooms. Keeping things smooth is my superpower. Somewhere between the coffee maker and the reminder calls, I realized I had spent years applying that superpower to a family that never planned to be smooth with me. At lunch I opened a new note titled Boundaries in Writing. It wasn't an essay. It was a list. No more family debt. No more spare keys. No more events where I'm the runner, not the guest. Yes to Aunt Lydia. Always yes to Aunt Lydia. Yes to Ellie's new life. Our home is a home, not headquarters. Break time equals 2/. I scrolled back through years of messages. Me babysitting Kaylee so Mom could network at the salon, charity mixer that didn't raise charity, just eyebrows. Me paying Dad's mechanic bill because the card's acting up. But no one's card acted up for Ellie's wedding day. I closed the thread. Peace is a decision you make before it feels natural. That evening my doorbell timed, not a knock this time. I opened it to a gift bag on the mat. Inside, a glittery Sweet 16 invitation, a note, "Family pulls together," and a pay me QR code to help make Kaylee's night magical. I sat at the table with Aunt Lydia on speaker. "You're not crazy," she said softly. "You're just not convenient anymore." Ellie touched my arm. "Do what you need to do, Mom. I'm with you." So I opened my laptop and decided to stop being the quiet accountant of everyone else's chaos. I built a folder named Receipts. Not to weaponize but to witness. Screenshots of payments I'd made. Banners, deposits, dresses. Photos of Kaylee's previous birthdays lined with rented flower walls while Ellie's school play got a last-minute maybe. Spreadsheets don't cry, but they do tell the truth. On a clean page I wrote a message I planned to send to the family thread. Not spiteful. Surgical. I won't be contributing to Kaylee's Sweet 16. No more deposits, favors, or spare keys. I'm focusing on Ellie's marriage and our home. If you want a relationship with us, show up with respect. If not, send no more invoices. I read it aloud to Aunt Lydia. She exhaled long and proud. "Put your name on your piece," she said. So I signed it, Alyssa. Within 200 words of this part, let me ask you, if you've ever had to write boundaries like a will, tell me below. Your words might help someone leave a door closed that needs to stay closed. I hit send. Mom's reply came fast, ungrateful. "We raised you." Dad's, Don't do this to your sister. Kaylee's, Elmo, you're jealous. Stay pressed. Ellie looked at me, wounded for me. I squeezed her hand. We don't argue with noise, I said. We change the music. Break time equals 2 hours later, I received a notification from the building manager. Your mother tried to collect a spare key. We declined. I thanked them, then brewed tea the way Aunt Lydia does, slow, with patience and honey. That night, the hallway outside our door filled with whispers. Shoes scuffed. The elevator doors sighed. I peered through the peephole and saw shadows move. The lesson of empty chairs turned into a lesson of full hallways. The next morning, the Sweet 16 planning moved to a bitter strategy, one that had police letterhead timing. An official-looking envelope waited in my mailbox. A notarized request for access from Mom citing grandparent rights to visit a minor, and referencing Kaylee's event preparations as a family necessity. It was postmarked the day of the welfare check. I sat on the kitchen floor with Ellie and read every line. Mom, she said carefully, I'm not a minor. I nodded. They know. This isn't about rights. It's about rights of way. I scanned and forwarded the document to a legal clinic our clinic recommends to patients for payment disputes. A paralegal named Gina replied within an hour. No standing here. Also, be mindful. People escalate when access is denied. She added a resource on documenting harassment. Calm, factual words can be a rope across a river. At work, my manager covered the front while I took Gina's call outside. Keep your locks. Keep records. If police arrive again, greet them with clarity, she advised. You're doing fine. I walked back in lighter. Filing cabinets hummed softly. Order felt like a poem. That evening, I received a text from Dad. We're coming over to talk. Don't make this harder. He didn't ask. He informed. The old choreography. Break time equals 2 / I set 2 mugs on the counter. Ellie placed her wedding photo frame upright, center stage. I opened the door before they could knock. Mom's eyes swept the apartment, assessing instead of seeing. Dad crossed his arms. Kaylee stood behind them, camera raised, already collecting content. Family pulls together, Mom began. Family shows up, I answered. Then I gestured to the frame. You didn't. Silence spread like a blush. Kaylee rolled her eyes. Can we get this over with? I need to meet the DJ. I took a breath. Here's the new choreography. I don't fund events I'm not invited to. I don't apologize for the locks. I won't host rehearsals, glam squads, or storage. If you want relationships, start by acknowledging the wedding you skipped. Mom bristled. Dad stared. Kaylee scoffed. Ellie threaded her fingers through mine. Mom said, if you won't help, then don't be surprised when things get formal. And the way she said formal told me the next knock would have paperwork attached to it. The paperwork came as predicted. A small claims petition alleging I'd promised to pay part of Kaylee's Sweet 16 and withheld access to family property, my apartment keys. Gina laughed softly over the phone. They can file anything, Alyssa. The question is, will it stand? We prepared a brief response. No contract, no property rights, no minor in residence. Attached. My wedding receipt, guest list highlighting no show, next to family names and a log of the welfare check outcome. Not to shame them, just to place a mirror where a window used to be. Before mailing it, I added one photograph to the packet. My daughter and me under a spray of white roses, 2 chairs behind us tied with ribbon, tags reading Diana and Ron. Proof that some bills are paid by the heart first. If you're still with me, tell me below. Have you ever had to put love on paper because someone else turned paper into power? Subscribe if you want more stories where silence learns to speak. Break time equals 2 / Aunt Lydia stopped by with lemon cookies and her librarian calm. You did right, she said, squeezing my shoulder. You taught them they can't edit you out and still cash you in. That night, Mom posted a story. Kaylee posing with a silver balloon arch, captioned Family First. I didn't reply. Ellie didn't either. We made spaghetti, set 2 plates, and laughed about the time she tried to make brownies with salt. The hallway was quiet again. The new lock glinted. I felt safe. Then at 9:31 p.m. the intercom buzzed. 3 short tones. I pressed talk. Ma'am, it's Officer Patel, a voice said. We've been asked to accompany parties retrieving personal items stored in your unit. I looked at the entry table. Empty. No personal items. No stored gowns, boxes, or curling irons anymore. Nothing here belongs to them, I said. But you're welcome to come up and see. Footsteps. Elevator hum. A soft knock. When I opened the door, what I saw wasn't anger. It was exhaustion, and it didn't belong to me. Officer Patel stood beside my parents. Kaylee hovered, arms crossed, eyes on the officer's badge like it was a camera lens. The officer's tone was even. Evening. We're just here to keep the peace. I stepped aside so they could see the entryway. 2 coats, 1 umbrella, Ellie's wedding shoes beneath the bench. No garment bags, no boxes with other people's names. There's nothing to retrieve, I said. And there's nothing to discuss at my threshold. Mom's voice cracked. We're still your family. I nodded. And I'm still your daughter. But I'm also Ellie's mother. You didn't show up for her. You called the cops on us. You filed paperwork to make me pay for someone else's party. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting us. Dad looked at the floor. Kaylee checked her phone. Officer Patel cleared his throat. Seems like a civil matter, he said gently. Unless there's something else? There wasn't. There never had been, just a script we finally stopped rehearsing. I turned to my parents. You're welcome in our lives when you can be kind to us in public the way you still want access in private. Until then, we're okay. We're building something that doesn't require locks to feel safe. Break time equals 2 /. Ellie stepped forward and stood beside me, her ring catching the hallway light. Our door isn't closed, she said, voice steady. It's conditional. Show up. That's the condition. Mom's eyes filled, then hardened. Dad whispered, I'm sorry about the wedding. It wasn't enough. It was a start. I nodded once. Officer Patel tipped his head. Have a good night. They left, footsteps soft, elevator sighing them away. The hallway returned to its ordinary hum. Inside, I leaned against the door and let myself breathe, deep, unclenched breaths I hadn't taken since the garden. Ellie poured tea. We sat with the quiet like it was a guest who finally knew how to behave. If you've ever had to teach your family your worth, tell me your story below. Your voice might be the hand someone else needs to hold. Don't forget to subscribe. This channel is where we learn to choose peace without asking for permission. I placed my daughter's bouquet, fewer petals now, in a clean vase. The new lock winked in the lamplight. The air was still, bright, possible. Peace's boundaries honored out loud.